Hi, thanks for being in a new video. This time we have unboxing of the Nothing Phone 3. Let's get started. Let's see, I know I'm definitely coming a year late, maybe even 15 years late, but it really has to be said. Nothing has not publicly announced that they are not going to release a Nothing Phone 4 this year. The reason is they don't want to become a brand that releases new devices every single year just for the sake of it. They want there to be a meaningful evolution between one model and the next. So I thought that statement was quite important, and I said to myself, well, if there's not going to be a Nothing Phone 4 this year, then let's go ahead and buy the Nothing Phone 3. This device costs 16,499 pesos. It's the high-end model from this manufacturer. However, as you can see from the price, it doesn't really compete with the high-end models of other brands, but rather with the mid-range premium or high entry-level ones. So it will be interesting to see what this device can offer us. Let's unbox it so you can get familiar with it. In case you didn't know, this is a UK brand founded by a Chinese person, but it's not a Chinese brand. Nowadays, there are a few non-Chinese phone brands. There's Apple, Samsung, and Google with the Pixel. If I missed any, it's likely a small brand or I'm just forgetful, so mention it in the comments if I left one out. The reality is that Chinese brands currently dominate the smartphone market, and at times, it's fair to say they even oversaturate it. This is precisely why I appreciate Nothing's approach, as they've announced they won't release a new phone every single year just for the sake of it. So let's delve into what's on the horizon. Here at the checkout, we are warmly welcomed to Nothing. It's a brand that is very attentive and considerate in how it engages with its community. The unique design hints it's not a typical brand. For example, let's see what's on this side. Notably, if it includes a case for us, that's quite good. Although it's a completely transparent and flexible case without any special design, which I would have preferred. But note all the perforations it has, giving us an idea of all the elements the device will feature. It's quite intriguing to observe a holster like this one. It's excellent that the holster is included. If I were to be quite particular, I would have preferred a holster with a more distinct design. However, soon we will take a closer look at how the holster fits on it. For now, let's note that the package also includes a USB-C to USB-C cable. It's worth mentioning that this cable carries the signature Nothing design featuring slight transparencies and the brand's characteristic dot typography, which looks really impressive. Unfortunately, it does not come with a charger, which I believe is an aspect that could be improved upon in the packaging. Here, we will discover the usual paperwork, regulatory documentation, and at last, the tool for removing the tray. This tool also features a nice and intriguing design with those transparencies that are commonly used by Nothing protocols in their product line, which is great. I must say I would have preferred a charger included, but you'll need to purchase it separately. This is an unpaid mention, but I typically use U-Green chargers. I particularly like this model because it features a retractable cable. Furthermore, this device claims compatibility with PPS protocols, power delivery, and quick charge, so they are fully compatible with these U-Green chargers. In the description, I'll leave you the link if you want to buy them. It is a link that generates me commissions from Amazon. So this is not a paid mention, but it could potentially generate some income for me if you decide to purchase it. Alright, let's go ahead and remove the device that is already present here. You need to remove this very cautiously. Honestly, the packaging by Nothing is designed so that when you first use it, you immediately notice that this device has been previously opened. So finally, after doing this with great care and attention, we already have access to the device, so let's go ahead and turn it on. However, from this point forward, you'll notice that there is another button here that might create a bit of confusion due to its placement on the right. But don't worry, I'll explain to you how it works. For now, let's take a moment to examine the back, which appears quite original. I'm uncertain if it looks attractive, but it certainly has a unique appearance. The brand is quite bold and unusual, and in this instance, it seems to me that having such a reflective back cover, it won't significantly lose its design with this transparent case. In fact, it will retain most of it. Honestly, I think the case is crafted specifically to keep showcasing this unique design with the transparencies that the manufacturer incorporates. And I must emphasize that the back cover itself is already reflective, so you won't lose many visual or aesthetic elements by using the case. Let's explore the phone now. We have already set up the device here, so let's take some time to get familiar with it. Just a quick reminder, this is the brand's current top-tier device. Even though it's been a year since it was introduced, they have mentioned that this year they don't plan to release a Nothing Phone 4. The device is 8.99 mm in thickness and weighs 218 grams, which is quite similar to what we see in high-end devices today. It comes with an IP68 rating. for water and dust resistance, and the front is protected by Gorilla Glass Eye. It appears to me that in this case we are likely to encounter a notable compromise. Considering it is a flagship model, one might anticipate seeing Gorilla Glass Victus 2 or something comparable, therefore having Gorilla Glass Eye seems to be an area that should undoubtedly be enhanced in the upcoming generation. The screen measures 6.67 inches diagonally and provides a resolution of 1260 by 2800 pixels. Thus, we are dealing with a screen surpassing Full HD, which will deliver an exceptionally good level of detail. It's a mold offering excellent detail, an adaptive refresh rate of 1 to 120 Hz with a maximum brightness of 4500 nits, so it really is a very bright display. Extremely bright. It also features stereo sound with a speaker at the bottom and another at the top near the earpiece for calls with extra output. On the frame, as a first impression, the sound seems good to me, although I think it could improve, especially in the power of the bass that is not bad. But I think for a flagship, if it could improve, although it is understandable for the price, it is not competing with ultra models or anything like that. The front camera has 50 megapixels and an f2.2 aperture. Although with fixed focus, and as usual, you are seeing the preview comparison, which is not optimized with the final result. In this case, I enabled the special nothing watermark, which, by the way, looks also very original. And note that here the clouds of this cloudy day did appear. It looks pretty good. The result of the photograph seems positive to me, although definitely the fact that it does not integrate autofocus will play against it. This front camera will have resolution K to 60 frames per second for video recording, even with HDR. It offers excellent capabilities. That's why I emphasize that it could and should improve by adding autofocus. So, if you suddenly want to show an element to your audience, close or something like that, unfortunately here you can't focus it, we are already seeing several points that could be considered for the next Nothing phone for the glass. The bass frequencies of the speaker and the front camera, which should have autofocus. But let's go to the back. Here we have the 50 megapixel ultra wide angle camera with f2.2 aperture, which also has fixed focus, so no macro capabilities. The main camera has 50 megapixels with aperture f1.68, autofocus and optical stabilization. And finally, there is the 50 megapixel periscope camera with f2.68 aperture, 3x optical zoom and optical stabilization. But as always, let's go ahead and examine some examples here. This is the ultra-wide camera and it looks quite good, especially considering it was a rather complex backlit environment. Although you do notice some areas that appear a little bit blurred or slightly distorted at the edges. So I believe the ultra-wide angle camera still has some room for improvement. Next, you are viewing the main camera, which also looks pretty good. Then we have the 2x crop for a 50 mm perspective, but this involves cropping the main sensor. And the truth is that the level of detail is actually quite good. Now, we jump to 70 millimeters using the telephoto camera, and once again, it looks pretty good. And then take a look at 140 mm crops the telephoto camera sensor to provide us with 6x optical quality zoom. And yes, it looks very good for short and medium distance zoom. I think it's perfectly well mastered. Notice that up to 10x, we can still maintain a very good quality in photography. However, for a more comprehensive zoom test here, you will see other photographs with their own paths extending up to 240 millimeters, which is equivalent to 10x digital zoom. I must emphasize that it looks quite good here. But take a look, we can extend up to 700 millimeters, where we are discussing 30x, or in this particular instance, let us push it further up to 60x. I think it optimizes sensor data well to provide a great level of detail. The camera system seems quite competitive to me. The ultra-wide camera leaves me a bit uncertain, but it's actually quite good. I particularly appreciate the honest zoom. Notice here in the video, it can record in 4K at 60 frames per second. Again, all cameras support that resolution. However, once you start recording, you can't switch between cameras with that setting. But in 4K at 30 frames per second, you can make the transition. In fact, HDR recording at 60 frames per second is also available. So I think it has excellent video recording features. Now that we're back here, you should note nothing includes a special button in this part. It's not a physical button, but I notice it will allow us to create between different mini apps. For instance, we are able to observe the clock or engage in this entertaining mini game involving a bottle. When you press and hold, you'll notice it rotates effortlessly, creating a sort of drawing effect. Additionally, we have the battery counter displayed, and over here you'll find various other elements. For example, there's this stopwatch that allows us to navigate and utilize it. And naturally, right here in the settings, we can access the configuration of what the manufacturer refers to as the Glyph interface. We will be able to select here. These mini games that we have available are quite engaging. Additionally, we can take advantage of this feature by syncing our call sounds or notifications. This way, we can easily give them a quick glance from this section, especially if we have missed any calls or have received a special alert with a specific keyword. In fact, we can even include a progress bar here to show us, for instance, when our Uber is getting closer, or to display the Glyph timer, which would essentially function like a sand counter. This adds a layer of convenience and interactivity to our experience. It's actually quite handy, so if you want to take advantage of this mini rear screen that the manufacturer has included on it, you can. It's a monochrome display with a fairly simple pixel array, so don't expect to see yourself on camera or anything like that, but it's still okay. The battery capacity is 5,150 meters and 65 watts charging. The charger is not included in the box. And a curious fact is that in India, the battery is actually 5,500 milliampere hours. For some reason, they put a bigger battery in that region. And note that it also has wireless charging and, of course, reverse wireless charging. So here, if you get the flagship experience, the device currently has nothing OS 4 with Android 16, and its update support is 5 years. And finally, we will discover that the most basic configuration offers 256 GB with options for 5 to 12 GB and 12 GB of RAM in the basic version, while the highest version comes with 16 GB. The processor used is the Snapdragon 8S Gen 4, which may not be the most powerful processor on the market currently, but it remains quite competitive. For those who are interested in numbers, here are the Geekbench results. It scored 2,173 points in single-core and 6,912 in multi-core. Meanwhile, in Antutu, it achieved a score of 23,84,635. So, I insist it will not be the most powerful of the moment, but it does have power to spare for the vast majority of users. The issue here is that in this test, it lowered 8% to the battery, so I think that in high-demand tasks, the battery could suffer more than necessary. But well, for the video review, we will do more detailed tests of the battery and other aspects. For the moment, we have reached the end of this. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to let us know and we'll catch you next time.